Shalom, shalom. Giving honor and praise unto the Creator and Maker of heaven and earth. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael, the tribe of Dan of the nation of Israel. I want to say concerning this kind of presentation, which is not going to be a long one, brothers and sisters. This one being called A Black Man Apologizes to Black Women. The reason why we wanted to go over this particular subject is because of some of the things that I have seen, witnessed, understood, and so forth and so on. First, to my knowledge, the black woman, that's to say the grown black female, seems to be the only female on earth that needs to verbally let everybody know that she is, quote, strong. Now, I'm not saying that there are no women of strength and that there are no strong women. I'm not saying that. Not at all, because the strongest woman on earth is a black woman. So I'm definitely am not saying that. Nonetheless, like almost with anything else, when a person has to let everyone else know about themselves verbally, you would say that that person is not confident in their own stance. If a person, for instance, is constantly saying, I'm a good person, I'm a good person, I'm a good person, I'm a good person, that's not saying that the person is not a good person. However, it is generally known that anytime somebody has to keep on letting everybody else know verbally about who or how he or she is, then he or she is not confident in what he or she is saying themselves. So if that be the case, then when you find, in this particular case, black women who are saying, I am strong, speaking of themselves, I am strong, I am strong, I am strong, we have to ask ourselves, is that actually the case? And in many cases, as we will go over, many of our sisters, many of our women have been not cherished or respected by the quote said black man. You understand? So many black women have developed what some refer to as a wall around themselves or so forth or so on. You understand? Now, what puzzles me to a great extent is this wall that's being spoken of seems to only blockade against the black man. You know, that wall doesn't sit there and seem to try to welcome in the black man that is a good black man. You know, this is something we want to sit there and talk about for edification purposes. This is not, quote, said bash or attack on anybody, male or female alike. You understand? This is, as stated, an apology to black women from a black man. In light of that, too, we want to state this is not, brothers and sisters, based upon being a henpecked sucker, wimp, clout chaser, or anything of that particular aspect. One of the things to point out is that in several instances, black women do not trust black men. And sometimes in this video, as will be pointed out, an apology is stated, an apology is given because, as a fact is, there are genuine, decent, and cool brothers who have to, due to the wall that black women have put around themselves, due to being manipulated, disrespected, hurt, and so forth and so on, it doesn't allow the good that another man can sit there and have an influence and an impact upon her life. because of the thought that she already has due to the experience that she already has. Now, in the past, and I've asked this question before, why is it that the European man, the said white man, how come he doesn't get that wall put around him? But that's not the question I'm gonna ask in this one and expect an answer, because when I asked it before, there was no answer given. You know, once it came down to that particular thing. So, in light of this video here, a black man apologizes to the black woman, giving honor to the creator. Next slide. The point in this matter. The point of this presentation is because the black man must apologize to the black woman. The black man has played games with the black woman. The black man has hurt the black woman. The black man has disrespected the black woman. Now, in most cases, some may see this as a way of saying, oh, wow, is he saying, quote, all? No, this isn't the word all, A-L-L, is not in this. You understand? This is a general aspect of what's being spoken of or what's being presented. Now, the picture that I saw from the Google Images, that's something that I thought was in relation to what we were talking about, as far as being hurt or one being disrespected or one having games played upon them. You would find that there are black women who know that they are being played or that there is games being played upon them, but they hope some way, shape, form, or fashion that the black man would change or that her situation with him would change for the better, and so forth and so on. In the Bible, in Deuteronomy chapter 24, it talks about a man making his wife happy or cheering the wife up. You understand? So when you find in many instances, or in some instances, why black women don't want to sit there and deal with the brother is because she in her past was not happy in dealing with such. And what we have to do as black men is not attempt to act like such a thing did not exist or does not exist. You understand? Now, I may have in the past, actually, I did. I made a post saying on Facebook that the black man has to have a sledgehammer and a jackhammer in order to sit there and get to the heart of the black woman because of the wall that she has made around herself due to the hurt in which she has experienced. So now, when you find symptoms, if you want to say, of that hurt coming out, you find it said as there are no good black men, even though she has not met every black man. You find it said as she doesn't want a man. You find it said as she does not want a black man. You understand? So these are the kinds of things that has unfortunately have transpired and so forth and so on. I've stated before, correct me if I'm wrong, that the only female on earth who advertises interracial dating is the said black women. White women who like black men don't advertise themselves to their families and their friends and everyone else as only wanting to be with they said black man. You understand? So these are things that we want to sit there and talk about for edification purposes. All right. Now, what do I mean when I make that statement in this PowerPoint here by saying the black man has played games with the black woman? I know of instances in which a man has told a woman, as long as you can wait for my son to graduate out of high school, that's when I want to sit there and marry you. So she sits there and waits 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, and so forth and so on for this said marriage to be, but then he doesn't marry her. So now what you've done is you quote in so many words, wasted her time. You understand? So this is something that we want to sit there and talk about for edification purposes. What do I mean in part when I make the statement in the PowerPoint, the black man has hurt the black woman. The reason why you find, let's say back in the 1990s or so forth and so on, in which sisters were saying, well, there are no good black men and so forth and so on, is because in certain instances, her father may have not been there. In certain instances, she might have been disrespected or violated, heaven forbid, molested in certain cases. You understand, by even members of her own said family and so forth and so on. So the amount of instances of rape, for instance, that has happened to women that goes unreported, it may be just higher than the allegations of rape that are actually false. You understand? So, what we should do as men, in this case, I'm talking about as said black men, is to sit there and make sure that we are taking the women in our lives to be serious. You understand? The other part that says the black man has disrespected the black woman. What do I mean in part or in general when I say that? I remember an instance in which this man congratulated another man on the shape and the body structure of the other man's lady. Very, very disrespectful. You understand? Now, I can tell you this personally. I can speak upon some of the relationships that I have personally had that didn't come to fruition to a great extent because what women desire, if she is respecting the man or liking the man, one thing that she would desire is attention. See, when you have a woman that says that she's strong and, a man has to be able to deal with her because she's strong, that's foolishness. You understand? Because there's no reason for you to have to sit there and be strong when we are each other's strength. There's no reason for you to have to sit there and try to bring that to me in that particular aspect. You understand? So that's something that we want to point out for edification purposes. Next slide. Feelings. One of the arguments the black woman has regarding the black man is that he does not listen to her. To this, many black men feel they need not listen to the black woman. And if a black man does listen, then he is said to be a wimp or a fool or a sucker. The black woman feels abandoned, alone, and sad. Now, the reason why I wanted to go over that particular aspect, when it says about the black man who does listen to a woman, is said to be a wimp or a fool or a sucker, is there are black men who would tell other black men, oh, well, don't let that woman rule you. Don't let that woman have that control over you. So then, when he tried to sit there and bring that foolish ideology to the lady that does have any kind of love and respect and wants to build with him, he's going to wind up being left by himself. And the person who gave him that foolish advice, brothers and sisters, is not going to sit there and be there to say, okay, well, you know what? I have a sister that you can court with. What I'm saying is this: you do not sit there as a man and speak to other men or other women negative of your own lady. You understand? Because we want to sit there and point out, brothers and sisters, that when you as a man speak bad about your lady to another woman or to other women, for one, they're already developing an idea about you. Secondly, it doesn't make you strong in their eyes, if you want to use that terminology, strong. You understand? Now, the part in which I state there that The black woman feels abandoned, alone, and sad. Brothers and sisters, when you find, for instance, like in the Bible, it says it's not good for man to dwell alone. So if it's not good for man to dwell alone, then how can it possibly be good for women to dwell alone? But you find the most unmarried female on earth is the black woman. The most disrespected black, pardon me, the most disrespected woman on earth is the black woman. You understand? And because in certain instances, the concept and the ideology of what a good man was not shown, she then is left to her own imagination to say what a good man is. So be he a leader for wickedness or be he a leader for righteousness, the only thing in certain sisters' mind is, well, he's a leader nonetheless. For instance, when you find that video, and it's even online, it's called The Original 50 Cent, about the guy that was a criminal and everything out of Brooklyn, right? In that, the guy 50 Cent ex-girlfriend was saying, well, his street life had nothing to do with me. There are many, many women who feel that way because just as long as she has somebody, then she's going to sit there and say that she's going to be happy. You understand? Or complacent or so forth and so on, or with someone or not alone. There are many, many who sit there and quote, settle for that kind of life. And this is why we as black men need to apologize for not stepping up in that particular case and letting sisters feel abandoned, alone, or sad. Now, it's one thing when you try to reach out to some, and if you already know that you got to come with a mental jackhammer and a mental sledgehammer because she has that hurt within her, and we as black men, we have to know, have patience once it comes down to that because you already know what your aunt's been through, what your sister's been through, and in certain cases, what your mother has been through. So once it comes down to that, we can begin to see that if the females in your family feel a certain way, then not trying to make everything one stroke with a brush, then they're not the only females on earth who feel that way. You understand? Many black women have developed a wall around themselves. This wall does not allow her to see good that can come from a black man. We want to point out that, yes, a broad stroke of a brush is made in regards to the black man by the black woman. We should understand that as black men, we cannot keep saying it is not all black men, while not attempting to realize the black woman is speaking from her bitter matter. So, in many cases, the sisters who make complaints against us as men, they are actually talking from what, and say in layman terms, they in their feelings. But we have to understand why she feels that particular way. That's why it's incumbent in many cases to just let her talk, let her get her voice out. Because one of the things that even some Israelite women have asked me about a particular place, camp, or so forth and so on is, quote, does the woman have a voice? You see how you have black women who say, oh my gosh, these black men go on social media and they keep on start talking all about what we as black people have feeling about each other, and you're telling this on social media and white people are listening. One of the things I pointed out in the past is because black women have told black men that she didn't want to hear him. So now once it comes, say, to social media, it becomes an avenue to be able to speak one's mind without ever having to somebody say, shut up, N-word, if you want to sit there and still stay in my house on my couch. You understand? And so once it comes down to that, if we know good and well that there are sisters who have been hurt for one way aspect or the other, and we know as any kind of any intelligence within us as said black men that when they say things such as there are quote no good black men, that black men are dogs, black men just want sex, black men are lazy, black men are shiftless, black men don't step up, they're talking and quote out of their feelings because that is what she seems to be surrounding herself around in that particular regard. So she can only speak upon what she understands and sees. So let her get her opinions and understandings and feelings out. Now, once that is out, then we can sit there and after all of the surface has been cleared, like when you clean a room, it seems to be a little bit more junky as you begin the cleaning process. When all of that then is now taken care of, then we can sit there and talk rationally once we both get over our feelings. Once we begin to sit there and stop saying to one another, shut up, I don't want to sit there and hear you because you're in your feelings. Who else is going to sit there and hear somebody if not that one significant other? Let, if you're the female to the male or the male to the female, let that person get their feelings out. You understand? Because you don't want to sit there and harbor and fester that spirit within you. All right? In the 1990s, an R&B group named Escape released a song called Understanding, saying in the song that what they need is some understanding. In that same year, an R&B group named Jade released a song called Don't Walk Away Boy. Now, one of the things we want to point out in saying that is this. And mentioning those songs is to speak on the fact that the Black woman wants to be heard and appreciated, listened to, and not abandoned. You understand? When the lady Shahrazad Ali did her book called The Black Woman's Guide to Understanding the Black Man, a lot of Black men did not respect or like what she had to state. It may be a bitter pill to have to sit there and swallow. And some things we can sit there and state is just emphatically one's opinion and not true. But we need to respect one another as adults to even sit there and get that point across, because ignoring it and not paying attention and ignoring it is not going to sit there and solve the problem. You're going to find more Black women running to white men. You're going to find more Black women running to Black women, like my aunts. You understand what I'm saying? Who don't even want a man in their life. They okay trying to, quote, be the one with the low haircut, with the hat to the back, talking about that's her girl. That just goes to show you, brothers and sisters, the kind of sickness that has unfortunately permeated among us as a people. It's not normal. You understand? So now, if we were to even say, go back, like stated in the 1990s, and hear some of the things that's mentioned in songs, such as Understanding by that group called Escape, that's what they're saying. They want to be understood. But in order to be able to be understood, you have to be heard. That's why it's important to sit there and do so. In the house of Israel, when the priests in the house of Israel say on the time of Yom Kippur or the Day of Atonement, the high priest makes atonement for him and his house first. You understand? So before you can sit there and start talking about X, Y, and Z all the way out there, you understand, and not deal with the situations, quote, at home, that's incumbent to be dealt with first. It's just like when a child, say in their teens, get a job. One of the first things expected about that child is to sit there and bring some money into the house. You understand? But there are Black men who do not sit there and cherish and respect women, Black women. That is why, for instance, when a brother wants to do certain things nice or respectful for a sister, in certain cases, she looks at him like he got two heads. Like, what? For me, you want to do that? That's odd to some women. And we want to apologize as Black men that when a brother attempts to try to be, quote, nice, be, quote, a giver, be, quote, a person who wants to sit there and cherish and uphold and have a positive impact in a Black woman's life. For one, it doesn't mean that he wants to have sex with her. But that wall that is up is already there. Like, oh, that must mean he want that. Because in certain instances, there are certain women who were not made to understand where their value truly lies. Is not in what they're sitting on. So these are things that we want to sit there and talk about and bring out for edification purposes. Next slide and closing out. Conclusion. The contention between the Black man and the Black woman is evident and has been known for over 5 decades. This being 2000 2019, for over, we can say, 50 years, the problems with us as a people has been known since the 1960s and so forth. What one is presenting is an apology to the Black woman. Now, brothers and sisters, this kind of image that you can see on Google Images about Black men and Black women is followed and preceded by Black men with white women and white men with Black women. Going that route is not the solution for us as a people, brothers and sisters. So that's something we just want to point out in that particular regard. All right? We're going to close out giving honor and praise to the Creator and the Maker of heaven and earth. Shalom.